All right, everybody, I'm going to call this meeting to order. The time is 6:08 p.m. on Thursday, January 20th, 2022, and this is the Bicycle and Pedestrian Committee having their monthly meeting. I'm going to start with the minutes. I'm going to ask for a motion to approve the December minutes as submitted. Would anyone like to make a motion?
Make a motion.
Okay. Oh, you know what? Can we strike that? I forgot to do roll. I decided to do roll call. That I saw that a lot of committees and commissions are doing roll call. So first we're going to start with roll call. If you could just say here when I call your name. Mike Allen.
Here.
Thank you. Steve Nyadek.
Here.
Tom Keene. Tom is not here. Bruce Prangley.
Here.
Nate Rex.
I'm here.
Great. Karen Seacrest.
Here.
Here. And Scott will be joining us in about 10 minutes. So I'm sorry, we'll go back to the minutes. Again, I'll ask for a motion to approve the December meeting minutes. Was it Karen? Did you make that motion?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, thank you. Do I have a second to approve the meeting minutes from December?
Michael second.
Michael second, thank you. All in favor of approving the December 2021 meeting minutes, please say aye.
Aye. Aye. Aye.
All right. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you.
Actually, I'm going to abstain because I never received a copy or I didn't see it of the minutes, so I'm going to abstain from the vote.
Oh, okay.
I must not have been on the distribution or something because I didn't get it or I didn't see it. Maybe I missed it. But...
Perhaps you missed. Yeah, it was attached to the invitation to the meeting.
Okay.
I'll resend them to you.
Yes.
Yeah.
But anyhow,
Yes.
Okay.
One.
I was abstaining. That's fine.
Okay.
Abstained.
All right. Thank you.
Okay.
All right. So I was going to do a new member introduction, introducing Tom Keene, who was supposed to be attending. I'm not sure why he's not here. But since we have some new folks joining us, we'll do introductions anyway and an icebreaker. So I'll call you out by name, and if you could say your name, your role, if you're on the committee or you're a town employee. And our icebreaker question in anticipation of the Olympics next month is, if you were to be participating in the Winter Olympics, what sport would you compete in? So give that.
Oh, gosh.
So I'll start. My name is Sarah Roy, and I live in the Stratfield Village neighborhood. And I am the chair of the Bicycle and Pedestrian Committee. And if I was going to be in the Winter Olympics, I would want to do the ski jumping because I think it would be really cool to feel like you were flying. I'm going to call on Mike next because he's the next one on my screen. Mike, if you could introduce yourself and tell us your icebreaker answer.
Got it. Mike Allen, resident Northfield Road, committee member. Two sports at the Olympics, downhill racing, obviously, and biathlon. That would be my favorite.
Nice. All right, Bruce.
Okay, and the biathlon is the shooting and the cross-country skiing, right?
Yep.
Is that the biathlon? Okay, because that was the one that I would pick, but I just forgot the name. Bruce Prangley, soon to be an ex-committee member, secretary, note taker, and if I was going to be in the Olympics, the biathlon.
Nice. All right. Next on my screen is Jonathan.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for having me. John Goodison here. I'm an administrator for the Board of Education here in Fairfield. My first time joining. Thank you. I think I would have to go with curling for no other reason that it seems interesting, and I would like to see if it is really, how much skill there is. And I mean, I know there's a lot of skill, but I'd like to see what that would be like from the athletic end of it.
Great, thank you. Steve, if you'd please introduce yourself.
I'm Steve Nyadek. This is my second meeting. I just joined last month. And I just want to, we did an icebreaker last month, and I was telling my wife about it, who was the first band you saw, and I'm probably the oldest person on the committee here, but I forgot to mention my claim to fame is I went to Woodstock, so I want everybody to know that.
Ooh.
And I have proof. I have a picture with me in it.
Oh, awesome.
Which I discovered about 3 years ago, looking online. It made me very happy. And anyhow, very cool. But
Cool.
as far as skiing would have been, again, 20 years ago, probably. I used to ski a lot. But I think I'd be with Jonathan on the curling team at this point in my life. So, and I do have a kind of a weird interest in that too. It's kind of an interesting thing. But.
Cool. Thanks for sharing. All right, Karen.
I'm Karen Seacrest, and you know how well I do on icebreakers. I have no idea. So I'd be a good participant, just watch everything.
And Karen is, for those of you who are new to our meetings, Karen is our current vice chair of the committee and our longest standing member, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Along with my age, maybe.
All right, so who do we have next? Bill Hurley, do you mind introducing yourself?
Sure, I'm Bill Hurley, engineering manager. I hope to be on for most of the meeting, but I will have to cut out. Unfortunately, I have still a lot of work to do. As far as the Olympics, I was always a big Olympic hockey fan, but if I had to do a sport, it'd probably be skiing. So.
Nice. Nate, I think you're the next one on my view.
Yeah, I'm definitely the downhill skiing.
Sorry, but Apex, Greenfield Hill.
Got it.
Maybe lower the volume.
To unmute, press star 6.
I'm not sure what's going on.
I hear you, Sarah.
Mego. Okay, sorry. Mego, would you mind introducing yourself?
Hi, my name is Megha, and I'm a senior civil engineer. I work under Bell. And today I'm just joining. I was very, very curious to know how the meeting goes. I know Sarah and I always coordinate each other on mostly nowadays on daily basis about bike and pedestrians. So just joining in today to know more about the committee. So my icebreaker will be like, I love ice skating, so I will participate in ice skating sports.
Oh, awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, Nate's in the waiting room. He's switched over. Hold on a second.
And hi to Bill. I see Bill is still sitting in the office.
Yeah.
Great. Did we get him back in, Nate? Yes, he's on. Okay, great. Great. Well, thank you all for doing that. And caller 5, is that Tom by any chance? No? Okay, perhaps a member of the public? Okay, we're going to move on. So before we get started with our guest, Jonathan, I want to do a recognition of Bruce Prangley for his service. Bruce has been on the committee for about a year and has been our awesome secretary, recorder of minutes, for which we are so grateful. And Bruce, in recognition and gratitude of your service, I'm going to be sending you some coffee because I know you said that you like coffee. So perhaps hopefully that you can give this medium blend a try and see if you like it. And just wanted to say thank you so much. This is Bruce's last night. He and his wife are establishing residency on the Cape. So he will no longer be able to be on our committee.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. I'll be mailing this to you tomorrow. Let me know what you think of it. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Sarah. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you, Bruce.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for doing the unwelcome task.
Yeah.
All right.
No, and I should mention that Bruce very generously offered to do our meeting minutes one last time this month. So you're all off the hook for this
All right.
month, but not for next month for the minutes. Oh, he's in the waiting room still? No, he's back there. Sorry. So let's move on to Jonathan, who's been patiently waiting. You might recall from past meetings that we talked about a desire to connect with the Fairfield Public School System, with the students and the families in terms of, many of our schools, families walk or ride bikes to school. Some take the bus, some drive, but there's opportunities for both awareness and education around safety in terms of road use, and also increasing active transportation, such as walking and cycling. So we invited Jonathan here to connect. As he mentioned, I think you mentioned you're the Wellness Committee Chair. And I'll let you talk, just introduce yourself and tell us what's been going on with the Wellness Committee.
So my name is John Goodison. I am my main job for the Fairfield Public Schools is I'm a special education coordinator at a central office overseeing our special ed programs for our three middle schools in town. I'm extremely new to the Wellness Committee, as last year the committee's chair had retired. So we're really just getting up and running between opening of schools and some of the ups and downs of COVID, getting that committee reestablished and going here for the winter. I had communicated with Sarah certainly about the opportunity of partnering together to see what we can do, through, especially it sounded like at the elementary school level, working on some plans for the safety and the physical activity for our students, possibly through our physical education teachers. And I'm really here to hear what you've talked about in the past, what your vision may be that I can help liaison with our principals within our district, in our schools, to be able to partner with you and implement something for our students in Fairfield. As far as the committee, like I said, we're just getting up and running for this year. We have a wellness policy through the Board of Education that we monitor, both through nutrition as well as physical activity, which is kind of our first order of business that we'll be reviewing. And really, liaisoning with you and establishing this partnership is my first order of business here as far as next steps. So love to hear from you as well as what you might be thinking and how we can take some steps moving forward.
Great, thank you so much. Yeah, I think that's great. One of the things I connected with you or by email earlier about was the National Walk to School program, and I know that North Stratfield School did their own program this fall around that, and select woman Brenda Kupchik attended. They did a whole program. One of the things we could envision is perhaps doing something more district wide. And Karen, I don't know if you want to speak to, I know there's been some efforts in the past to connect around education. If you'd like to fill in Jonathan, that would be great.
Yeah, I think one of the first things that we tried, one of the things I think is so important is obviously, I lived in Boulder for a period of time, and biking to school is one of the hugest programs they have. And they have a program called Friker. It's, they have systems in which when people bike in, they scans their helmet, they get, points. It's very incentivized, right, to do that. Now, it's also the infrastructure is set up for that, so it's a little different. But what we looked at, when this committee was first sort of formed, is how do we make that education better all around? I mean, that means adults and everything else, because you need to educate the kids about how to bike safely and walk safely. And they, in turn, will teach their parents if they know it and if they care about it, wearing bike helmets, etc. So we talked a little bit when Phil Dwyer was still, on the chair for the Board of Ed. I spoke to him. I had worked with him in the past on something else. And we talked about doing the walking bus program, because the Y was fairly big on that. He loved the idea. We talked about it a bit. The problem is it's very hard to get the volunteers, and that has to be very parent-based. And it will work better in some schools rather than others. I mean, a school like Dwight is really not a feasible school to have a walking program, just because it's just too dangerous. But there are schools like North Stratfield, Sherman, obviously, which can make the program work. I know Mill Hill has a big walking, which Nate can speak to too, group that goes. So I don't know that we can do it. We can encourage it across the board, but I don't know how many places it's going to, how many schools will do it as well as others. Holland Hill probably would have a very big walking program. But how do you get the volunteers, and how do you get people that wanting to encourage it? So we looked at that. We didn't do so well. We tried to just do it on a day, like even a day basis, but it just wasn't very successful. Like Sarah said, doing the national bike to school day or week. There's a week in October, right? And then there's a day in the spring. Would be a great start to encourage it. The other thing we did a couple years ago was reach out to the high schools, and we had their art students actually draw designs for safety with biking and walking. And we chose 8 of those signs, and we had them, and we brought them around to the schools. And that was just so that it was really coming again from the students to the students, and those went to the elementary schools. But I think, I at one point I thought it would be very helpful if in every classroom in the elementary school, there was a little sign as you walked out the door that talked about, you bike on this side, you walk on this side, sort of, the more someone sees it, the more the kids see it, the more they recognize it, the more they take that information home. But what we found is it was very hard to get too far with the school system.
Well, what I lack in experience, self-admittedly as the wellness chair, I can certainly make up in, we have monthly district leadership meetings with all the administrators within the district that I attend. I have, certainly professional relationships with all of the schools, as well as the PTA and the special education PTA within town, that I would like and be excited to bring a level of cohesion and kind of a spearhead or a talking head as far as between the town and this committee and the school district and all the schools, so we can hopefully take some of those great ideas and get some consistency and some traction with those. Even really K through 12. I know you mentioned quite a bit about elementary, but just mentioning some of the schools and having the proximity of Stratfield to Woods, or even some of the other schools, and then the middle schools and the high schools, and creating almost some kind of age appropriate or developmentally appropriate role for all of the levels to be able to work together as a district, especially in a time where things are more isolated than they typically would be in the past, and to bring people together. So I would love to bring some of these ideas and these thoughts. Some are maybe new ideas, revitalizing some of the older ones that sound like wonderful plans, to our next district leadership meeting. I can talk to Mike Cummings about getting on the agenda to be able to bring this up, or at the leadership meetings that we have with the elementary, middle, and high school principals.
Yeah, I think that'd be great.
Yeah, and then I can circle back with this team either via email or through one of these future committee meetings with a little bit more information about some ideas about what we can implement.
Fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely. Then when we have a committee meeting, am I echoing?
Yes, all of a sudden.
Oh, I'm sorry. I just got a message that our new committee member has been trying to get into the meeting and is not having success. So I'm sorry, I was distracted.
No worries. So what I will follow up with Sarah, and then when we have our committee meeting, which that date is to be determined, we can have this as one of our standing agenda items.
Great. And Jonathan, if you want to talk any further about a few of the things that we were, discussing, I'm happy to talk to you on the side you know.
Yeah, I would love to do that and
Okay.
get a little bit more detail. So when I'm on that agenda, maybe we can connect and talk a little bit more in detail about the past work you've done and how we can move that forward.
Okay, great.
Thank you so much. That would be wonderful. And make sure that's not him. Sorry, losing my track of thought, trying to do too many things at once. Sorry, let me collect myself a second. As Karen mentioned, it might not work at all schools to encourage an increase in walking, but for those and riding bikes, but for those that it will work, we certainly want to encourage that. And as someone whose son walks to school and goes to Stratfield, I can say, I can attest to how he's got a little bit of anxiety every morning going to school, but that like 15 to 20-minute walk with his friends, the fresh air, the exercise, the socialization, it really, I think, helps him start the day on a better foot. And I think that's something that we really need to be considering when promoting these things, that like how beneficial it is when children get to walk to school. Like they just feel that's like great social and physical activity time.
Significant push in Fairfield and around, in addition to probably many, if not all, public school districts in the state around social emotional learning and mental well-being. And I could see this having a vital role as part of that work that we're doing as well. I think you're mute. I can't hear you, Sarah. I think you might have muted yourself.
Thank you. Does anybody else have any questions or comments they want to share with Jonathan around how we can support the public schools around road safety and encouraging active transportation? No? All right. Well, thank you, Jonathan. Yes, let's stay in touch. So sorry I was distracted with technical difficulties.
No, don't worry.
But really appreciate you taking the time to come on to our meeting. And yeah, you're welcome to stick around, or you can sign off. But really appreciate you making the time.
Thank you for having me. I have three very small children at home. I'm going to stay on for a few minutes and then depart when I need to.
All right, great. All right. For the recording, I just want to let everybody know that Scott Craighead has just joined the meeting. Scott, thank you so much for joining. Scott, if you wouldn't mind introducing yourself. And we did an icebreaker, and the icebreaker was in reference to the upcoming Winter Olympics. If you were going to compete in a sport in the Winter Olympics, which one would it be? Scott, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Can you hear me?
Did you hear my question?
No, I did not.
Scott, we thank you so much for joining the meeting. If you wouldn't mind introducing yourself, and because we have some new folks today, we did an icebreaker. And the question is, if you were going to compete in a sport in the Winter Olympics, which sport would it be?
Good. Evening, everybody. How's everybody doing? I've got a little echo. I can hear myself, so it's a little disorienting, but I'll try my best. Yeah, so I joined the group about a year ago, and just as the icebreaker, Sarah, so winter sport, I actually happen to be leaving on Saturday to go out west skiing, so that's a pretty simple decision there. Beyond that, what else did you want me to cover besides that?
I think that's good.
Okay,
great.
Cool.
Thank you so much.
Yep, I'm gonna try to fix
All
this.
right.
This echo is kind of bizarre.
Oh, we're having a lot of technical difficulties this evening. Tom, our newest member, one of our newest members, couldn't get in. So we're going to move on to Town of Fairfield updates. Evan, are you here this evening? I don't think he is, so which is too bad, because I actually asked him to speak about the SHAPE program, which, if you're not familiar with the SHAPE program, Jonathan, I don't know if you want to say a few words about that. My son just completed it, but I'm not sure exactly.
I'm not familiar with it in my role as a middle school special ed person, enough to be able to speak to it. I've heard of it.
Okay. I'll tell you what I know is that it's a program for the 5th graders where the police members of the police force go into the classrooms and talk about a variety of subjects, substance abuse, I think stranger awareness, those kinds of things. And I asked Evan to find out for us what, if any, education is done in the SHAPE program around road safety. Because, fifth grade, a lot of fifth graders, they'll go to school. That's when they start going to and from school independently and using crosswalks by themselves, that kind of thing. And so Evan said he was going to gather that information. I'm not sure why he is not here tonight. Let's see. Someone else trying to get in.
I probably, because I started sixth grade, that's probably why I don't know too much about it.
Yeah.
If you ever need me to speak with our resource officer, Fred up at Central's office about that, I'd be happy to as well.
Yeah, that would be great. Perhaps they can be a guest at some point.
Sure.
Well, thank you. And I don't believe, so we'll move on from Evan. Emma, are you here? No, Emma's not here. So Bill and Mega, it's your turn if you'd like to provide us with some Town of Fairfield updates for the committee.
I'll just start with the, hold on, let me turn my volume down. I'll start with, I met with Sasquatch or Southport Conservancy regarding the radar feedback sign for Pequot Avenue. And unfortunately, we can't put it in the immediate area of Southport Beach because the parked cars would block the view, and we would lose maybe even up to 6 spaces to do that. And we felt that was too many. But we can certainly put it right before the curve, before the Sea Lodge. And we thought that was pretty effective because you really go from the road being really wide to where it really narrows down and hits the residential area. So that's what we decided, and they were just going to confirm with a couple of the closest neighbors just to make sure they're on board with that. The other thing is, as we did the road safety audit for Stratfield Road, I had taken some minutes and a surface description and any concerns. I can certainly share them with the committee or certainly with Sarah, as she was also there, and so was Mega. And rather than steal Mega's thunder, I'll let her describe her first road safety audit.
Thank you, Bill. It was very, very exciting, and I really enjoyed yesterday walking. I myself learned a lot yesterday regarding signage and the view of DOT and the view from Sarah's eyes and the view from the residents of the crossing guards. So it was very interesting to know everybody view, how they look and how they experience roadway. And describe their experiences. So from engineering perspective, I see point of view, but very interesting to from everybody. So when we went around, we gathered a lot of interesting problem solving that people brought to us, that what should be done and how can be done and what cannot be done. So that was interesting. And then another thing, we walked through the sidewalks and shoulder widths, and we came to know that some sidewalks have issues and some ADA ramps, and it was a very collaborative effort from everybody there, that they were sharing their solutions, they were sharing how things can be improved. Everybody was very, very enthusiastic yesterday. So I really thoroughly enjoyed that. And now we will put a report together and we will submit it to DOT, and let's see how, we will go forward from there. So it's a very exciting experience and I loved it. And thanks to everybody, and thanks to Belle, Sarah, everybody for that. So that's my experience, little bit of experience that I had yesterday. It was my first time doing roadside audit with the DOT. Yeah.
Thanks, Mega. I just wanted to add that I think the state was very impressed with the turnout. We had 20 people at one point for the road safety audit, and thanks Sarah for extending invites to Southport Village Association. That's from the business standpoint, obviously from the commuters. The people that walk to school, I'm sorry, standpoint, the neighborhood, and it was nice to see, for those who've been around long enough, a couple of our former bike and pedestrian committee members in attendance. So Bruce, you never truly escape. That we had some that came back that we hadn't seen in a while, so that was good to see. So thank you, everyone.
Godfather
Thanks,
3.
Harry.
Thank you both. Yeah, it was so much fun. If your idea of fun is talking road safety, which it is for me because I'm a road safety nerd,
You see that?
it was great, and it really was a great eye opener to what is possible with the state DOT, because unfortunately there's this reputation that if it's a state road, don't even try to make changes, and we found the exact opposite with them. They were all so interested in helping us, and we really if we were making some suggestions saying this is an issue, could we do this, they would say, well, you can't do this, but there are some other options that might have the same effect. And really I feel like there's a culture shift going on where they're very open to exploring increasing walkability and bike connectivity along all roads in general and the roads that they have jurisdiction over. And we were really impressed with just their warmth and their generosity of their time. They spent 2 hours on Stratfield Road, and then I think took a quick lunch and continued on to other places. But it was an awesome experience. I agree with what Mega said. So thank you.
Oh, actually, real quick, I know that we're running out of time on our section, but I just want to update you. Thanks for reminding me, Sarah. We did meet with the state, at least the ones from the traffic engineering division, after our meeting. And they said that the intersection of where McKinley School is, I want to say that's Tunxus Hill, Route 58, and Naps Highway. It's under consideration. Doesn't mean it's going to happen, but under consideration for a potential signal replacement, and that would include the additional crosswalks and pedestrian signals. They, I think, found out that signal was installed in the mid-90s, so it's almost near its end of service life. So maybe not a short term, but maybe a midterm a solution was going to be maybe to replace that light. So that was good news. We did go to Tamor, and they've done some upgrades there. Our handicap ramps, he seemed to have no problem with them at all. So hopefully there'll be some indicators on that. The state had mentioned, now again, state takes a while, but they had mentioned there might even be a 2-tiered pedestrian signal improvement, especially for the side street greens. And so if there is a signal that meets ADA compliance, has no issues, no environmental issues, or very few utility issues, they can kind of fast track that for maybe converting the side street green, which looks like a traffic light, to the walk, don't walk, or some sort of pedestrian improvement. So that was good to hear. And then we did go to Mill Plain Road and I-95, and just wanted to throw some ideas with them. And we came to an agreement of some of the improvements there. And so we will go forward with that. It might take a little while, but we'll go forward with doing the crosswalks there where the pedestrian unfortunately was struck. So just wanted to let you know on that. Yeah, they stayed till 3 o'clock. So that's how, when you get them, you want to reel them in, So thanks again.
That's awesome. Thank you so much, Bill. Does anybody have any questions for Bill or Mega? No?
Okay, great. I'm going to head out then. Thank you very much.
All right. Thanks, Bill.
Sure.
Okay. And I don't believe Mary is on the call, but Karen, do you have any updates from forestry or sustainable task force that you want to share?
Unfortunately, I don't. I didn't have a chance to connect with her this afternoon. And the last time I talked to her was right before the forestry meeting was on Tuesday. So I will see if there's anything I can find out that is new. I can, pass it along via email.
Great, thank you so much. All right, we're going to move on to committee updates and new business. We're a little ahead of schedule, which is great because we were behind to start. The first item of business under this committee updates and new business is the charter ordinance update, which I was going to ask Richard to provide an update on, but he was not able to attend this evening. So the good news is the Charter Revision Committee had a public meeting last week to discuss their work plan, and I'm going to forward that to everybody after the meeting. Sorry, I meant to do it in advance. They've put together a draft work plan for the charter revision, which the process is taking place right now, and then there will be a public vote by the residents of Fairfield in November on a revised charter. I believe I've said before, but I'll state for the record that our committee is currently not in the charter because the charter was last revised in 2006 and our committee was not established until 2014. And so it's really more a matter of timing than anything else, but we want to make sure that we have some permanence other than serving at the pleasure of whoever happens to be the Board of Select persons. So the good news is we are on page 11 of the work plan for the charter revision. They put us in there. So our committee is in there, as is discussion of how to strengthen our complete streets policy to give it more teeth. So, that's not a guarantee of us making it, but, they're very receptive. And actually, Brian, the chair of the committee, is a cyclist himself. So he's very supportive of, the work that we do in our efforts. So that's it. Does anyone have any questions about the charter update?
Sarah, I've got a question.
Great.
Cool. Yeah, I'm just devil's advocate. Why wouldn't we just kind of fait accompli become a committee? Sounds like we're on page 11, whatever that means, but we didn't make it because we happened after 2006 as a committee. But why wouldn't we automatically just be kind of included as part of the charter?
Why wouldn't we?
Yeah. I mean, to me, it seems like it's just a guarantee, right? Because it was a timing issue.
Absolutely. I agree, Scott. Yeah. I think it's just a timing issue. I think we just wanted to make sure that with all the details they're going through in the revision that, just trying to make sure that we are in fact included, just kind of being the squeaky wheel to just be like, hey, just making sure that we are put in there.
Okay.
And they've been very receptive. Yeah. I think it just was a matter of just making sure we're all on the same page and that we're not overlooked. Yeah.
So it's pretty much guaranteed that we've kind of raised our hand and said, remember us, so to speak, right?
I hope so. I mean, there's no guarantees, but I don't anticipate any issue of why anyone would not want us to be in there.
Okay, so there's nothing else we have to do at this point in time to kind of ensure our guarantee.
No, we'll just continue to check in with the Charter Revision Commission from time to time, see if there's any additional information they want or any questions or issues. And we should be good.
Great. Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. So that is the charter ordinance and updates. And now I will move on to my chair updates. A bit of good news. I want to share with you that I got an email from Jennifer Carpenter last week that someone had sent us a letter and that went to the town hall, and she asked if I wanted her to open it or mail it to me or come pick it up. And I said, you can open it. And she said, well, she opened it and she said, you have to come get it. There's a check in it. So
hey now.
Jocelyn Shaw, Joy Shaw, who some folks might recognize her name. She was instrumental in the preservation and conservation of the Mill River wetlands, has sent us $100 in memory of Charlie Proctor, who you might recall is the late son of Judy Proctor, who was killed riding his bicycle in Arlington, Massachusetts. She's 91 years old, still, going strong in her advocacy. And so this is, I've sent her a thank you note on behalf of the committee. So kind and generous that she sent this to our committee. And Steve will be depositing this for us with the town.
Great news.
How cool is that?
Very nice.
Yeah, isn't that nice? So so I thought that was really exciting. And just briefly, I won't go over the safety audit because Mega did a good job with that. But I did some outreach this month. I spoke to Tanner Thompson, who's the chair of the Norwalk Bicycle and Pedestrian Committee. It's a connection made through Scott's brother, Brad, and another advocate in Norwalk, Audrey. That was a really great conversation. He's also new to being the chair, as am I. He has lived abroad in Germany before and seen, how they handle public transportation, walkability, bikeability, and really got a lot of inspiration from his time living abroad, and was great to connect with him, exchange ideas. They're they're a little ahead of us in terms of having more, dedicated bike lanes in a little different structure, but it was exciting to build that relationship with him. And he's yet another possible guest speaker at some point. He'd love to come chat with us, see how we do things, and we can all learn from each other. So and I'm sorry that Bill had to step off the meeting, but another connection I made was with Matt Conway. Oh. Hold on just a minute. Mary's trying to join the meeting. I'm not seeing that, Karen.
I just gave her the information because she couldn't find it anywhere, so I just forwarded it to her.
Okay.
So it might be a minute, just in case you see her do it. That's all.
Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah, I'm not seeing her right now. Are any of you familiar with Rise Up and Connecticut and CT Murals, those nonprofit organizations? No, they're based out of Hartford. It's sort of a youth empowerment organization that started this branch of doing public murals a few years ago. And I wanted to connect with them because they've done some really cool projects, and I'll send this to you afterwards. Doing painted bump outs, and Mega actually Mega Jane was working for the city of Bridgeport when they did one of their Safe Routes to School intersection bump out programs. And they do wall murals as well. They do a lot around diversity and Connecticut history. And I'll send you their information. And they're actually going to do their very first mural in Fairfield at the Metro train station. Oh. Let me see. Hello?
That would be nice.
Yeah. Mega, I don't know if you want to talk for a moment about the Bridgeport bump out.
Yeah. So basically, what happened, I don't know if I think I didn't know him. The one who actually brought this idea in Bridgeport when I was working there. So first of all, we selected a very low volume road. It was a very, very low volume road, not a busy intersection. It was a residential. So we experimented that mural over there. Just, it's an illusion. They painted, and the paint is made of a special material. It's mixed with a glass. And they said that you don't require much maintenance on that paint, which was very interesting. And I think the person who was, I don't remember his name, but he brought the paint to show us that, it's a low maintenance paint and it will not wash away. And basically they just paint like a curb bump out, and it's a very, very colorful paint on a roadway, and it doesn't affect any drainage issues because the water will still flow over the paint and it will not wash away. And it's just giving an illusion to the driver to slow down and a little bit give him a distraction and telling to lower the speed. So we basically experimented first on a low volume road just to see the behavior of the drivers over there, and which came out pretty. I think the experience was very good. So that's one of it. And I think we can try that on other. I think we can try on Post Road. I think Sarah, you brought that idea last time, and I think there is no harm in trying that. And I feel like DOT may be open to this idea, because yesterday as I was talking to them, they were not discouraging. In fact, if we bring that idea, throw that idea for other kind of busy, semi-busy intersections, we can drive there. I don't see the harm.
Great, thank you so much. Yeah, that was a great explanation of how these bump outs work. Thank you for that. And bringing up DOT, when speaking to Matt Conway from Connecticut Murals, he was saying how because they've been doing these types of projects for several years now, when they partner with a town or an organization, they have the expertise to help you navigate through those permitting processes, whether it be DOT or your local government or whatever. They help facilitate that, and they also help facilitate fundraising for projects. And as I mentioned, they are looking to do, they're working with the Fairfield Youth Equity Coalition to do a diversity mural on the wall at the Connecticut Metro Station. And they're just sort of in the final phases of getting all their permission. They actually are working with the Fairfield Parking Authority to get that done. But we're gonna have our first CT mural in town, which is really exciting. And Mary, you could probably speak to this, and I'll introduce you in a second. Sustainable Connecticut will provide matching funds for towns to up to $7,500 to do these types of mural projects. So very exciting options for ways of trying to slow traffic and make, shrink pedestrian crossings to make it safer for people walking and make people feel more comfortable trying to navigate through active transportation in town. So Mary has just joined us. Mary, thank you so much. If you wouldn't mind saying hello. And,
hi.
We did have an icebreaker, Mary, earlier. If you wouldn't mind saying who you are and your affiliation. And then the question is, for the Olympics, if you were going to participate in the Winter Olympics, what sport would you compete in?
Well, it wouldn't be skiing. I just tell you that I just came back from skiing. In Winter Olympics, well, I would be a spectator. That's what I do.
Oh. All right, and if you wouldn't mind just introducing yourself for folks who are new.
I'm Mary Hogue. I am with the Sustainable Fairfield. I don't know. Am I acting? Is it just me or is it? Okay, sorry. I'm the Sustainable Fairfield liaison. We're dropping task force as of this month, so we're just going to be Sustainable Fairfield to make it quicker to introduce ourselves. And so they have a matching grant program where it's a total of $15,000. So you have to raise $7,500 through crowdsourcing, and there's a little bit of nuance to it, but you have to get a couple of you have to get more than just one or two people, and it's actually pretty easy, honestly. We had 4 projects. Karen is nodding her head because she did too, and we had the Eco Dude did another one, and then we had a tax insert. So we did 4 successful projects in 2021. And because we were, again, certified silver, we are, that's for 3 years. So we are able to be participants in that matching grant program for another 3 years. So anybody in town is eligible to do that. And I'm happy to be able to help anybody get through that process if they're interested.
Thank you, Mary. So I think this is something that we could explore in terms of, new ways, new methods at infrastructure that we could be involved with as a committee and a community. One of the things that Matt mentioned is that having a coalition is important. So Mega, you mentioned the intersection in front of Chase Bank at Old Post Road and Post Road in Umpqua.
Yeah. I think I learned more yesterday I spoke to DOT, and what happened is when we do encroachment permit, we can put it as an option for a second phase grant program in that. It may not go through this, but we can put it as an option as an encroachment permit where we can do anything. It's just that we have to ask the DOT I don't, yeah, we can do that.
That's great, and I think it's an opportunity also for the businesses in that area to get involved, and hopefully they would be supportive. And the library is right there too, so it could be an opportunity with the new director to get them involved in a project like this. So I thought that was really exciting that they not only help you with the art, but that facilitating the whole process and the negotiation of making it happen. So another potential way to help our community.
We can pick other intersections too for that murals.
Absolutely. So we're approaching 7 o'clock. I'm going to move on. Mary, we had skipped an update from Sustainable Fairfield when we were going through Town of Fairfield updates, but would you mind, we'll just jump around a little if you want to give us like a brief few minutes update, couple minutes.
Muted myself so I wouldn't echo. Sorry. I'm also chair of the forestry committee, so also an overlap with you guys. So one-stop shop here. So yeah, I mentioned that we achieved silver certification. So I forget how many. I think there's 16 towns in all of Connecticut out of 169. I just wrote that in the Pollinator Pathway newsletter. So if anybody has that handy, you could look it up. But it's the highest level certification in the program. And we actually, Sarah and I exchanged messages about this. We want to, there's a new climate leader designation, and we're going to be going after that for 2022. And one of the things that we'll be probably talking with you more about is what's going on my screen, sorry, is the idea of the different work that you're doing related to the projects that you do with Complete Streets. So we need to gather some more points related to that. So I'll probably be talking with you and Bill Hurley along those lines. In terms of the forestry committee, we planted almost 400 trees this year, which is pretty milestone for us. We don't normally get to plant as many. It's pretty exciting. Within our tree planting program, starting in the spring of 2022, we'll be designating what are native and non-native trees. We're closing in on about 80% native to 20% non-native trees. It's very hard to have native trees along the roadside. The roadside, as you all know, is a very stressful environment for plantings, but it's also very important for calming the traffic. But we are trying to get more native trees because it's much better for the environment and the web of life and so forth. So we are working to get more native trees. So that's very exciting. We're also hoping to plant even more than 400 trees. And we're looking to you to help us to see if there's any areas that are low on canopy. We know of areas, but we're also hoping to get grant funding. We've been unsuccessful in the areas where we've tried to do that in the past. We've worked with conservation and Bill to extend sidewalks and tree planting and overlay that with census and demographics, and thought for sure we were shoo-ins, but we didn't get it. So maybe we can work together on that. So those are the kinds of things that we're hoping to, improve on. We're doing pollinator gardens along roadsides. We upgraded the Rockland Park, Rockland and Wilson. We did a lot of native plants there. We installed a pollinator garden on Burroughs right off of Black Rock. So if you know of any other pocket parks, we're really into the idea of that 10-minute walk to a park that the Trust for Public Land has. So where, we can do a 10-minute walk to a green space. Again, that's, it's sort of an equity overlay because, any areas that you can help highlight for us that we can create those pocket parks. A really great partner within that has been the Greater Board of Realtors. They help do a pocket park everywhere. So we'd love to work with you, and you've always been really helpful in doing that. So those are the kinds of things we hope to partner with you going forward in the 2022 and so forth. So that's the update.
I think it'd be kind of neat if we did a pocket parks along the bike routes as a thought.
What about like rain garden? Have you ever thought about rain gardens on the street sides?
Yeah, I mean, we're really looking for input from people saying we want this here. This is lacking, that kind of thing. I think it would be nice to get input from what the neighbors would want. That's really, so
Because
that's how it's come about.
I was thinking to do like a dual thing. I know the rain garden, as you were mentioning about landscaping on the street side, pocket parks. We can actually combine rain garden with the drainage issues, where people face a lot of drainage issues on the side streets where there are no catch basins, and where there are like further apart catch basins, and we have some water accumulation problems. I feel like rain garden can serve both purposes together, because this is a similar example that New Haven has done. At Bridgeport, I designed rain gardens for Bridgeport, and similar issues we had there, the drainage issue, and then rain gardens served a lot of purposes of water quality and aesthetics, and even it narrows down sometimes the roadway. The drivers tend to slow down. So something we can look into that too. We can actually see the potential areas where there are drainage issues, low volume roads, and we have design in Fairfield too. I think they have installed some rain gardens, so something to consider.
That was part of the design in the Rockland Park area. That was, so yeah, we have done that. But I guess that would be Bill would be the person that would help us with that.
Yeah, we can help. I mean, I work under Bill. I'm an engineer, so yes. So we can look into the, because we face a lot of drainage complaints, drainage issues on side streets. Bill and I and Laura from our office, she is also an engineer in our office, and we bring up rain garden concepts because sometimes we feel that will help us in reducing the water accumulation, and in reducing the overcapacity pipes issue. So those issues can be solved sometimes. So we are always looking for that kind of an area where we can fit the rain gardens. So
great.
Drainage, and we can combine them both at certain streets. I will look into it. I mean, I will go with Laura tomorrow if she knows any potential streets where we think like downtown resiliency projects. If you're aware of that, that's another study that is ongoing by one of the hired consultants, and they have looked into the rain gardens in downtown area. So,
thank you.
Thank you both so much. I'm going to move things along. I really appreciate the update, Mary, and Mega. Thank you for bringing up the rain gardens. That's an exciting idea. Does anybody have any questions for Mary? Any comments about Sustainable Task Force or forestry? No? Okay. And forgive me, Bruce, I keep jumping around, but one other thing I wanted to mention with my chair report is the Google form that I sent out to everybody. I know Tom had a chance to look at it, and he made some great suggestions for improving it. This Google form that I sent out maybe a week ago, I can resend. It piggybacks, builds up on the idea of asking folks where it's scary to walk or cross the street or ride your bike in town. This is something we did at the World Day of Remembrance event, and got some good responses. And then I put it on our social media. By the way, we're up to over 250 followers on Instagram, which is exciting and growing every day. of asking folks where they experience fear, intimidation, lack of safety when they're walking, exploring, or riding their bike around town. And I'd like to turn it into a form that we can put on our webpage so that we can direct folks all the time to be giving us that feedback. And I developed a Google form. I'd love your feedback. Like I said, Tom gave me some feedback, and I am waiting. I've requested a couple of times to schedule a meeting with Mary Mao so that she can give me the access information so I can start putting things like that up on our website and we don't have to wait for her. So did anybody else have a chance to look at the Google form that I sent out? No? Okay. Well, I'll resend it. If you wouldn't mind taking a look at it, I'd appreciate your feedback. So going to move on to the third item of business under updates and new business, which is our goals as a committee. And this is a group discussion. As I mentioned in a previous email, love to hear what made you want to be part of the committee? What gets you excited about this type of work? Karen has mentioned that, this is a broad discussion of our goals for the year. Thinking of four main topics: potential events that we could host, infrastructure that we could improve upon, education, both internal and external, how we can educate ourselves and also create educational opportunities for the public, and coalition and relationship building, like we brought Jonathan in today from Fairfield Public School System. And we'll be having future guest speakers. Next month is Mark Barnhart, our Economic and Community Development Director, is going to come and speak to us. So we'll start with events. Mike, do you have any updates about the Scouts and their event that you mentioned last month?
So yeah, we working with a gentleman named Nathan Schindler, who's a district chairman for BSA Scouting, talking about putting together a bike rodeo, looking to lock in on a date. He had originally talking about April. I had suggested that was too early given the weather. So we're exploring what to do possibly during the month of May. We also needed to reach out to, and I believe Karen was helpful in giving me some direction with how the last bike rodeo was executed, I believe in 2018, in concert with the police department, and working with those entities to identify a date, come up with a program, and then begin to promote this both with scouting community, but as well as in basically inviting every grade schooler out to come and learn the basics of bicycle safety, check their helmet fit. If they don't have a helmet, they'd be given one. I believe that was a connection that came in through Yale New Haven. But basically set that up as an event that could be do a lot of things, and I'm actually thinking about what Jonathan had talked about earlier, in integrating the schools into bicycle safety. This would be another opportunity for that. So I don't have a date, but we're working on it.
Great, thank you. And have you discussed at all with the Scouts what they envision our committee's role would be in this event?
Yeah, it would be basically to help promote it. They don't need, we would have enough people on site to help run it, and everyone's obviously invited, but just basically help promote it, and both the community through press releases and whatever additional outreach we can create.
Okay, great, and I certainly hope that folks will be able to attend and participate, and perhaps we could have like an info table or something to get the word out about our committee as we're there supporting the event.
Sure, absolutely.
Anybody else have any sort of goals around events? Any visions for what you'd like to see us do in terms of public events this upcoming year? Hopefully, COVID numbers will be going down, and people will be feeling a little more comfortable with getting out there and mingling.
I would just mention that we, in the past, have done history walk or a history bike ride, which were pretty well received, and in coordination with the Fairfield Museum and Walt there. I think it's a kind of a nice way to kind of incorporate both and learn a little bit more about your town. And Walt has great ideas. We had Linda on our committee prior to this, who usually coordinated something with Walt, and they came up with an idea. Even if it's something for the spring or something for the fall, or you do a walk on one of them and the other's a bike, I just think it might be a nice way. It also gets, more people to understand that we do more than just sit in a meeting and talk about ideas as well. So just a thought.
Great, thank you. Mary, were you going to say something?
Well, I just wanted to say, echoing again, we are doing our Earth Day event at the end of April with the Fairfield Y. It's their National Healthy Kids Day. And so that seems like a, natural fit with you guys. You guys usually come and have a table. You're welcome to do something like that. And then we have our Green Wheels Expo, where we really promote all sorts of alternate transportation. So we promote not just anything that's not an internal combustion engine, basically. So biking, walking, carpooling, taking the mass transit. So again, another natural connection with you guys. So, and you usually come to that too. So we have not set a date for that. That's usually been end of September, but we're looking more towards getting away from a National Drive Electric Week because of everybody. It's sort of like everybody wants to do things on the actual Earth Day. So we're trying to get away from doing it within that time frame. So maybe early October.
Great, thank you.
Just a thought about this. Maybe we've got 3 bike routes, I think, in town, don't we? 3 bike routes? Okay. Yeah, I kind of initiated this at my church, and it had some nice feedback where I think there's a lot of people who want to bike or want to walk, but they don't really sometimes know where to go or maybe who to go with. So just maybe some thought of maybe we have an event to promote each of the 3 bike routes. And maybe we kind of do a Sunday or a Saturday, whatever it might be, at a certain time. And we get as many people from the committee here to attend. At the same time, we get friends of ours to attend as well. And we throw this out to the town. So it's almost like, same time, maybe the first Sunday of the month or whatever it is we decide upon, to kind of know that particular day, that particular time, the Fairfield Biking Ped committee is going to be having kind of a group ride or a group walk for that matter, and use the bike routes for the bikers, or maybe even use some different locations for walkers, just to kind of get the idea of using the bike routes and also getting people out to walk and being with a group environment as well. So it went well with the church. So maybe you can kind of, replicate here with the committee.
Thanks, Scott. That's a great idea, and it's a great way to promote the bike roads to the public. Thank you. Anybody else have any other thoughts around events? I will mention that we'll most likely do the World Day of Remembrance again. That was it's not a happy fun event, but it's an important awareness event, and it was very well received. So it is my intention to do that again. But I welcome any other final thoughts around events.
There was one thing that we planned to do, but we never did. I don't remember why we didn't, but we have 6 signs that are in downtown area about trees. They're in the town hall area, and then Sherman Green and Library, and I forget what the other one is. But anyway, it's a short walking tour. It's similar to what Karen was sort of talking about. And we were going to do some like a walking tour kind of thing related to where those stops are. So that was something that got planned and never happened that we could do with you.
Great, thank you, Mary. All right, well, those are some great ideas. I'm going to move on because we're getting short on time to infrastructure. And one of the things I wanted to bring up first, we weren't able to talk about it last time, was adding a 4th bike route. Nate, if you wouldn't mind speaking to that, as this has been your baby, and I know you've put a lot of time into it so far, and hoping that we can, continue to push that along in 2022.
Here, there we go. Sorry. Yes, absolutely. The new route is pretty well baked at this point. It's just a matter of now getting the next steps, which would be to involve um, the police department and making sure the police commission to make sure that they agree with the route as it's written, and then hear any feedback that they might give us, and that would allow us an opportunity to branch out further north into town, up towards the Greenfield Hill area, and incorporate some more northern route and parts of town.
Thank you, Nate. So the next step, it sounds like, is reaching out to the police commission. Do you go before them at one of their public meetings, or is it like a side conversation, or how exactly do you proceed?
So we need to, oh, Karen, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, I can speak to that. What we have to do is there's a form that has to be filled out, and I was struggling to find it. I thought I'd be able to find the one that I'd used in the past as a link. So I just need to reach out to maybe Mike Parrish or something, and have them send us the form. What we do is write out the entire route on this form and then submit it to them. Then the police commission actually goes and drives the route and looks at the whole thing. At that point, then it can be discussed going in front of the board. So they'll look at it first.
Great. Karen and Nate, do you think that between the two of you, we could get that form going before the next meeting?
Nate, what do you think? I don't think it would be a problem. No, it's just getting the form together.
I'm sure I've got it in my emails. I've got every email from the committee, every email that you and I've ever sent together. So it's
okay. If you can find it, Nate, let me know. I searched but couldn't find it.
I should. I've never deleted an email in my Gmail, and they love me about that. I've got 27,000 emails or something in Gmail, so it's there somewhere. Let me find it, and I'll get back, and we can link together.
Okay,
great. Thanks. I'd love to hear from the rest of the committee in terms of infrastructure. We've done some great sidewalk projects the last couple of years in partnership with the health department and Public Works. We're going to do a third sidewalk. I believe we decided on near Birdcraft Sanctuary for 2022, the final grant round. But there's other opportunities, like we just talked about Stratfield Road safety audit and some work we're hopefully going to be doing there. But other areas where you feel there's opportunity for us to coordinate with Public Works, Health Department on some infrastructure work. And we can feel free to speak broadly. It doesn't have to be a specific project, but I know, Steve, you mentioned in the past your concern about us increasing our advocacy and support for walkability, pedestrians. So I welcome all your thoughts, and I'm going to mute myself.
I'm going to relay a story to you that happened tonight, and it's just one of those things that I have such an awareness of and a passion for, because I had a personal situation last year where I knew someone who was involved in an accident, a fatality. But I was coming home from work today, and I come home down Beach Road, and where it ends at Fairfield Beach Road, take a right, and the Fairfield Beach Club is there. And as I turn the corner, now this is, it's pretty dark out now, basically dark out. There's two people walking side by side with traffic with dark clothes on. And it just bothered me extremely. And I want to do as much as we can for education and safety. I mean, the thing that bothered me was there's a sidewalk on the other side of the street. Okay. That's where they should have been, and that sidewalk faces traffic, which is a double A. Okay, A+. And they were doing it all wrong. No lights, no reflectors, nothing. And, I want to, my goal is to save a life. I mean, I think that it's going to happen. It's happened before, and it's going to happen again. And, under infrastructure, I would like to see, I know it's somewhat of a difficult thing, but, I think there's certain signage that is very appropriate. I reached out last year to one of the Bill Perugini, who's a state rep and lives on, RTM member, and lives on Fairfield Beach Road. And if you're familiar with the dead end side of Fairfield Beach Road, they have a sign there that is run by solar power, and they could change the message on it and stuff, right? And I asked them if you could put on there, please walk on the right hand. Walk facing traffic, it's safer. exclamation point. And they did it. And they did it for like 2 or 3 weeks. And it was a one-off thing. Okay. But I really like that. And just a second quick story, you know, I have a place up in Lake George in the summertime. And there's a Route 9 there it's right on Route 9. It's very busy, but I walk on it, and they have signs that say walk on the left side facing traffic. So, but you can only read that if you're walking on the wrong side. Okay. And I would love to see a couple of those signs placed in certain areas. I walk on Fairfield Beach Road, and there's no sidewalk side. Okay. And it's dangerous, you know, and you know, speeding is another issue, but just the idea of getting people to walk on the right side. And there actually is a state statute, you know, that says you're supposed to do that. And I'm hoping down the road, you know, we can have some type of program where maybe even get some of the police involved. And, you know, if they see it, stop people and tell them, you know, because sometimes I stop and tell people and they kind of like smirk and laugh at me, and, you know, they don't really pay attention in most cases. So that's, you know, from a personal standpoint, that's my goal, to do what we can to educate people and pedestrians and bicyclists. The other one, the side by side bothers me a lot. And, you know, on the bicycle side, when I see people riding a bicycle side by side, and one of the bicycles is exactly in the middle of the lane on a 2-lane road, you know, because they want to talk to each other, that bothers me. And people need to be educated. And I think there needs to be, certainly not a ticket or anything like that, but some type of, you know, maybe involvement with the police department to, when they're driving around, if they see it, just stop and say, hey, do you know you're supposed to walk on the left side facing traffic or whatever? And any little, you know, people hearing that, it's not intuitive to people, obviously, because I see it all the time. And, you know, one thing I'm thinking of doing, you know, when it gets a little nicer out, because I would think that where I live is one of the highest walking areas in the town of Fairfield, if I had to guess, one of the top 5 probably. And someday I'm just going to sit out in front of my, you know, driveway and, you know, just take a count of, you know, how many people are walking the wrong way, walking side by side, bicyclists were driving the wrong way, et cetera, et cetera. And I would bet that the compliance, I'll call it, with safety regulations is very low. And I think if we could do anything to raise that, and again, I don't, you know, signage is one possible thing. But, you know, and the other thing I worry about, just to wrap up this little piece too, is, you know, I'm really worried about people that, certainly when you're walking with traffic, you can hear a car behind you, and that's your trigger, okay, to, you know, either turn around or walk in single file or, you know, pay more attention. But let's face it, you know, the future is with EVs, and they don't make noise, and that's going to be, that all is going to go away, not in my lifetime, but it's going to go away. And the sooner we can get people to, you know, educate people to think about, you know, walking correctly, because it makes all the sense in the world to walk facing traffic. I think we can make a difference, and that's what I'm hoping to do over the long term.
Thanks, Steve. Karen, I see you waiting to comment.
I was just going to comment that in the past, several years ago, the police did offer that they can use their signs on occasion if we want to put something together. It's a timing thing. It'll depend on what they need to use. The idea was they could do something even at the circle area where they can put a big sign, but we can definitely reach out to them about those ideas. We have in the past also had someone from the police department come and sit in on our meetings, which was helpful. Because having their ear and hearing what was going on is, you know, does, at least it opens the communication a little bit better.
Is Evan Caseman, I'm pronouncing that right, he's the police department, right?
Yeah, he's our liaison, and he was supposed to be here tonight. I'm not sure what happened. He was actually at the road safety audit yesterday. And he and I emailed back and forth last week about the SHAPE program, and he intended to come. I'm not really sure, although, you know, Tom could not get in to this WebEx meeting, so perhaps Evan had issues too. I don't know. But yeah, and I'm going to speak to him to see if there's, you know, anything we can do to support him getting here more regularly. But it would be helpful if you could do that. Steve, thank you so much for that. If you're amenable, I'd love to connect you with with Judy Proctor and her group down in Southport, because what they worked with the police to do, the police commission is, and I'm not saying this is the best, but it's the option they use, is they put stencils on the road that point, that indicate, going, walking against traffic and riding your bike with traffic is one option they came up with. But if you're amenable to talking to them about, why they decided to do that, and how, how that could be possibly utilized in other locations, it'd probably be a good conversation, and then you can bring back information to the committee about it.
Absolutely. Send me her information.
I will. Thank you. So anything else around infrastructure? Scott, I know you've done a lot of research about share the road signage. Is that something we're tabling for now, or
Yeah, I mean, I for at least for tonight's meeting, yes. But I'm going to pick up on Steve's comment just because Steve's a newer member here. We have had some discussions, Steve, about safety walking in town, and just to kind of bring it up to speed here quickly, is we do have a website where we do have kind of rules and regs for walking, and that includes walking on the correct side of the road. So it is up on the website. Also, we had in our first selectman's newsletter for maybe 4 times there for I think 8 weeks or so during the summertime, albeit at the very end we did have kind of motorist, pedestrian, and walking best practices, including walking on the correct side of the road. But a couple of things you brought up that kind of piqued my interest. One is maybe since, Sarah, to your point about signage, we've been talking about signage being focused on kind of, road safety for bikers and walkers and motorists, but really not about the fact of educating them by way of a sign, as far as I know, to walk on the correct side of the road. So just kind of thinking out loud here is maybe we might want to think about the signage as including educating them about doing that, as opposed to just kind of slowing motorists down, that there are upcoming walkers and or upcoming bikers. So it could be kind of dual in that regard. But also your comment about walking in the dark. I mean, same thing up here in my neighborhood, Galpin Hill area, kind of northern Fairfield, lower, I guess what we call Greenfield Hill area. Yeah, just the other night, just happened to make a drive around a corner, and there was a guy walking, wrong side of the road, walking his dog in dark clothing, no light, no reflector. So, we've all seen this. And that is really dangerous. I came back and I told my wife, if I had not really been, and a car was coming towards me and made the turn. So if I had not really been very aware of my surroundings and slow around that turn, I would have hit this guy very, very close. So I'm just kind of thinking out loud that maybe like we were reflectors. My wife and I were reflectors when we walk at night, and we wear headlights. We probably look like a bunch of dorks, but let me tell you, people see us and they don't hit us. And
Scott,
so, maybe this is as a committee, maybe there's a way for us to somehow get reflector vests out within the public community for those who want to walk at night. Maybe there's a way for them to pick up vests at our town hall. I mean they don't cost that much money, but yes, we've got 60,000 people, but just something to think about, because I think a lot of people don't think about it, but if they're informed about it and they know it's easy to go obtain one and maybe it's free or pretty close to it, it's
another quick story. Just another quick story. I know we're running late, but coming down Beach Road about a month ago, okay, I see on the corner of Beach and Fairfield Beach Road like a neon green strip, and it was a dog leash, okay, that the person had. And I'd never seen that before. And I says, that's cool. We have 2 dogs, and I bought them on Amazon the next day. And I do not let my wife or myself go out when it's even close to being dark without one of these light up things. They're tremendous. And stuff like that is, to me, is so valuable to helping with the problem. And I, maybe we can have some type of fun, who knows, thinking down the road, maybe some state aid or, fundraisers or town money or something. And give these out or have a content, whatever. I mean, I have a million ideas in my head, but the more of these things we can get out there, the reflective vest, which I have, my wife makes fun of me sometimes, but I've got a little red lights that blink and stuff, but I won't go out without it when it's dark out. I refuse to go out without it. And believe me, I don't want to get hit by a car, and nobody does, but people just don't think. They don't think about that stuff, and that's where I think the education part needs to be at the forefront. Yeah, I just had just one quick. As I'm sitting in my driveway, okay, which I'm going to do at some point when it gets a little nicer out, maybe I'll make up leaflets and just say, it's safer to walk on facing traffic on the left-hand side. Just hand it to the person that's walking by my house the wrong way, and just stuff like that, just to get it out there, education is the key to me, and information.
Thanks, Steve. Thank you
Okay.
so much. These are all great ideas. And I think when Santina Gironco, our health department liaison, returns from her maternity leave, we could certainly talk to her. In the past, the health department's been very generous and excited to work with us in partnership for materials such as that. We actually have light up walking vans, Steve, that the health department purchased with grant money to distribute to the public. And I like the idea of the reflector vest too. So these are all things that we can talk to Santina about. I don't know what kind of money will be coming down the pipeline for them that they could possibly partner with us for, but it's certainly worth a conversation. I like to be respectful of everyone's time, and we are past 7:30. So one more thing. I don't know. Are there any members of the public who on the call who wish to say anything or ask any questions? No? Okay, so as I mentioned, Bruce very generously has offered to do the minutes for this last meeting, his final meeting. But going forward, we are going to have someone else taking the minutes, and it was discussed in December. No one came forward to volunteer to be secretary. I understand it's, not a fun, sexy job, although it's a very important job to keep us compliant with FOA regulations and public information. So unless someone volunteers for February right now, I am going to pick a name out of a hat. So would anyone be interested? And Bruce, I don't want to speak for you, but I'm sure you'd be willing to provide some guidance to folks for a couple of months.
Sure. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Simpler the better.
Yeah.
Yep. Can't hear you.
Oh, we do have the Roberts Rules for Dummies on taking minutes that Laura provided to us in the past, which is also a helpful guide. So before I do the hat, would anybody like to take a crack at the February minutes? No? All right, you're leaving it to fate. Karen.
I could have told you were going to pick me. I've done them before. I'm not worried about it. I knew that. Nobody else could do it, and I'd get it.
Okay, so Karen will be doing them for February. And then we'll pick another name for March. So great. So without further ado, could I have a motion to adjourn this meeting?
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn by Nate. Do I have a second?
So moved.
Scott.
Scott. Great. All in favor of adjourning the meeting, please say aye.
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 All right, meeting is adjourned at 7:35 p.m. Thank you all so much.
All right. Up the recording. All right. Adios.
And I will end the recording.
Good
Thank
luck,
you.
everyone.
Good night.
Thank you, Bruce. Take care.